Have you ever heard a company talk about its sustainability efforts and wondered, what does that actually mean? For a long time, it was kind of the Wild West out there. One company would say one thing, another would say something else, and it was pretty much impossible to compare them. But now, a standardized language is starting to take shape, helping everyone from investors to you and me understand what's really going on. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the specific rulebook that's changing the whole game, the SASB standards. And things got really serious back in 2022. That's when the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, or SASB, officially became part of the IFRS Foundation. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it should. That's the same group that governs financial accounting for most of the world. Think about that for a second. The same level of rigor that's applied to a company's financial reports is now being applied to their sustainability reports. We're talking about one true global baseline. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First up, we'll look at the basic rulebook for sustainability. Then, we're going to zoom in on a specific industry, furnishings. After that, we'll pinpoint the 4 big issues that really matter for them, before doing a deep dive into how they count every single gigajoule of energy. And finally, we'll connect all the dots and show you why one little number can be so incredibly powerful. All right, let's jump right into part 1, a rulebook for the sustainability. We're going to break down what these SASB standards actually look like. So what's so special about a SASB standard? Well, it's all about the structure. This isn't just a list of vague suggestions. It's a super precise 4-part manual. First, it clearly defines the industry. Then it identifies the specific sustainability topics that can actually hit the company's bottom line. And here's the key part. It provides exact metrics, the actual numbers companies have to report. And finally, it gives them the technical protocols, which is basically the detailed how-to guide for calculating those numbers the right way every time. Okay, so much for the theory. Now for part 2, let's see how this works in the real world. We're going to focus on furnishings by zooming in on the building products and furnishings industry. So who are we talking about here? Well, just look around you. Seriously, the company that made the desk you might be sitting at, or the flooring under your feet, even the ceiling tiles over your head, yep, they're all part of this industry. And that brings us right to part 3, the 4 big issues. The genius of SASB is that it doesn't make these companies report on, every single environmental topic imaginable. No, it cuts through all that noise and zooms in on the handful of issues most likely to actually affect their finances, their risks, and their opportunities. And for this industry, here are the big 4. You've got energy management and manufacturing, management of chemicals and products, the environmental impacts across the product lifecycle, and wood supply chain management. Now, you can see that most of these require hard numbers, right? They're quantitative. And for the rest of this explainer, we're going to zero in on that very first one, energy management. All right, section 4, time to count every single gigajoule. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty of the standard, right down to the specific metric they have to report. And the standard is unbelievably specific. It says companies have to report 3 things. And there's no wiggle room. It's 1, the total energy consumed, 2, the percentage of that energy that comes from the public grid, and 3, the percentage of their total consumption that is renewable. That's it. Super clear. So let's tackle that first part. What in the world does total energy consumed actually mean? Well, according to the rulebook, it's an aggregate figure. In plain English, that just means it's one single, all-encompassing number that includes energy from every single source the company uses. And when I say every source, I mean everything. We're not just talking about the electricity they buy from the power company. Nope. It also includes the diesel that goes into their delivery trucks, the natural gas that fires up their boilers for heat or steam, and the energy used to power their cooling systems. The whole idea is to get a complete, honest picture of the company's energy appetite. And right here, this is where you see the real power of having a standard. I mean, how do you add up electricity in kilowatt hours with diesel fuel in gallons, right? It seems impossible. Well, you convert it all into one universal unit of measurement. And for this standard, that unit is the gigajoule. A gigajoule, or GJ, is a massive amount of energy. To give you some perspective, it's roughly what it takes to power an average American home for a whole week. By making every single company use this one unit, you create a truly level playing field. Which brings us perfectly to our final section, why this number matters. We've gone from this huge global framework all the way down to a single unit of measure. But what's the big deal? And that's a fair question, right? It's just one number on a report. Why should an investor, or you, or me, really care about how many gigajoules a company burns through? because that one number brings order to chaos. Before standards like this, you had companies reporting energy in all sorts of different units, measuring different things. It was a total apples to oranges mess. It made it super easy for companies to greenwash, to look better than they really were. But with a standard, bam, you get a clear apples to apples comparison. You can literally line up 10 furniture companies and see instantly who's leading the pack on energy efficiency. The accountability is just crystal clear. And here's the most important part, the real takeaway. For a manufacturer, energy isn't just some fluffy environmental thing. It is a major operational cost. It's a direct financial risk. So a company with a lower gigajoule number isn't just greener. They're probably more efficient, better managed, and way less vulnerable if energy prices suddenly spike. That one little number tells you a ton about how well that company is run. So that leaves us with this final thought. We just walked through how one single standardized metric can totally change how we understand an entire industry. Now, just imagine scaling that up. Imagine if every company in every industry all across the globe spoke the exact same, clear, consistent language when it comes to energy. What could we actually achieve then?